So hello everybody, I just returned from SuperBooth and 5 days of Berlin madness and I'm totally tired now. But I wanted to share my impressions with you. And what can I say? It was a blast as usual, but this time it was even more intense. There were so much new devices and gear announced and I met so many nice people. It's really impressive. And at the first day, I already arrived on Wednesday. I had a nice stroll around the city. I stayed directly at Alexanderplatz this time, and I'm always impressed how different the city looks and how it changes, and how quickly you change between posh areas and pretty torn down areas. And what we did at the first evening, I met with my friends Odo, Beat, and Cello. We went with the Swiss guys to a Swiss restaurant, and this escalated quickly. And the next day it was already a bit tough to get up and go to SuperBooth. And this year it was not the beautiful sunshine as in the last years. It was freezing cold. And as you can see, all the people wearing still their winter jackets. And it was really bad for the exhibitors which were standing outside at the bungalow village this year. It was, yeah, they really froze a lot this time. And the first visit I did was to the UDO booth with the new Domino synthesizer, which is the first synth which has a display. Yay! From this company. And it sounds much too good for my taste because I'm really tempted to get one of these. Then my next stop was Vermona, and I already talked about this drum computer last year, and I'm still totally tempted to get one of these as well, the Vermona Drum Ding. And what does it do? It has an analog voice on top, and then you can sample it down to the digital section, which allows you to have 6 tracks. But it's not only the 6 tracks, you can have up to 32 different samples on these 6 tracks, and you can also add for each of these tracks different digital effects like bit crushers, delay, reverbs, and the usual things. And yeah, the analog voice also sounds totally lovely, so check that out. Next up was the Döpfer booth, and they're going now into 1HE modules as well. So they already turned quite some of their modules into this format, and they're planning much more to do as well. I also asked if the existing cases can be turned into that one to add this 1HE row, but this is lots of work, and some people did it themselves, so it's possible. And they also showed a prototype idea of a shock-resistant case, which should also be possible to take on an airplane. And then I wanted also to check out the Magnolia from Frap Tools, which was also already shown last year as a prototype. This is now a finished product and still sounds absolutely amazing. But for the price, I always have a problem if there is a 2-digit display on such an expensive synth. Yeah, but nevertheless, it's a great sounding synthesizer. I was already freezing a lot, so I did the same as many of the other people as well. Go inside where it was warm and cozy, and also lots of other exhibitors. And the first one to look at was the Schmidt synthesizer, which is this insane big instrument, which is now also available as a plug-in instrument. You can discuss how meaningful that is, but they also planning to have a controller for that, which was only shown as a 3D rendering, but nevertheless, watch out for that. And then I had the chance to play the Form, which is more like a sequential entry synthesizer, and I was impressed how good it sounds and how much fun it is to play. So if you want to get into synthesizers or get your first hardware synthesizer or need a little synth on the go, this is absolutely worth a look. Then the C25, which was absolutely a talk of the show. I never liked the previous version, the C15. I thought always the user interface was just horrible, but that's absolutely up to taste. And this is a totally different user interface with a really nice touch display and logical structure, quite some knobs. And you can also exchange these buttons. So the idea is that you have different models and then you can exchange a layer if you need some other labels. So Ableton showed something very funny. They showed a prototype how they developed the first push one. So they basically took some innovation devices and Frankensteined this thingy. And yeah, that's interesting how prototyping works. And something maybe totally boring for some people, but I find it quite a working horse. The new Modix M, which now also has the same engine as a plugin, and price and gear is really tempting to get if you need a workhorse for playing live music. And Relic showed again their insane audio router, sequencer, DAW controller and whatever, and this is really starting to come along nicely. And they also have now a Bitwig integration, which looks quite a bit as Bitwig, and you can mute, solo and do all these things. And the price is not even that expensive, if I remember correctly. It's below 1,000 euros, and you even get this breakout box with it, and you see you have lots of CBs, lots of audio routing. So this can really be a centerpiece for a studio. And again, there were some Gesprächskonzerte where some manufacturers showed their gear and showed it by playing actual music. But sadly, there were not that many this year, since the main room for doing such things was blocked by a theater play, as it seemed. And also there were Bitwig workshops again. There were two, and they were really nicely done by Thavius Beck, and he did on the first day an entry course, which was really, really nice. If you had no idea about Bitwig, SuperBooth is about the people, and I met lots of people. And shout out to Jeff Kirkwood, which is also a coder, and we had a really, really good chat. And then I had to go for sure to ASM because I was quite interested in the Leviathan. What I heard so far on the internet demos, I was pretty disappointed, but having a go at it myself changed this opinion completely, because this is a really, really lovely sounding instrument. Yeah, and I finally met the one and only Lupo, but had a really good chat with him as well, and I was really impressed about his professionalism and how quickly he can bring things to a point and bring exhibitors to do a 1 minute talk about what their products can do and what it can't, and point out the strengths of the devices and understand straight away their market potential. So it's great to work with pros sometimes. Yeah, but talking about the Maya synth, it also got some nice improvements. They refreshed the user interface, it's more streamlined now, and it also got now a nice cloud reverb if you're more into the ambient thing. And if you have never heard about this device, absolutely check it out. You can have 4 parts with sequencers, clip play, and lots of different sound engines and much more. Yeah, Modal is here again as well, and a product that is not so clearly understood because they downsized the Cobalt to a limited user interface with the idea that you might need not that much knobs in a live situation maybe, but yeah. And this is a product I do not really understand. The Swenson 49, you can record 4 tracks with some kind of back recording, so you play something and then you can press this loop button and then it plays back up to 4 tracks, but it's very limited in changing the sounds and what you can do with it. And the lab section was open again this year, which is really cool to see, and which other company than Buchla could be in that area. And they showed the Siggy, which is now an affordable Buchla, for the first time an affordable synth from them. And yeah, it still sounds like a Buchla, so sorry, it's not for me. Black Box 2 was announced as well, which is somehow a stripped down Banto and with similar features, but a user interface and some additional functions already. And these functions will also show up on the Banto soon. Yeah, on the second day, Thavius did another Bitwig tutorial, this time an advanced one. So the topic was how you can bring your sets, your songs to the stage, and what are the tips and tricks to do so. So another very interesting talk, and I learned quite some things as well. And they filmed both workshops, and I hope that they will put on their YouTube channel, so watch out for that. Yeah, and if you have really too much money or just sold your house, you can get the Sheer synthesizer, the Sheer Relic 6, which is a kind of OBX clone or inspired by OBX and sounds like an OBX, and it's just only $14,000. So yeah, go for that. And if that synthesizer was not big enough for you, there is a GRP synthesizer, a new one, and if you have room in your living room, that would fit nicely in there, I think. And another talk of a show, the Poly-N drum computer, a really big one, and they're really trying to attack the Roland TR-1000 with that. And it's a combination also like the TR-1000 between digital sounds and analog sounds. The analog sounds were not yet ready, so it was a kind of preview. What I heard so far did seriously not impress me, but as I said, it's just a preview device, and let's wait till the final product is there. Nevertheless, the form factor is quite interesting, and it totally feels solid and brings quite some different sounds to the game. Also, Waldorf had an update of the Iridium, so as a Mark II with more memory and some other little goodies, and it looked much better in reality than it looked on the pictures I saw so far. The Larynx synthesizer from Analog FX was quite interesting. It looks a bit like different modular modules put together into one synthesizer, but it has some really gritty and dirty filters in there, so quite interesting device and should be checked out. I had several chats at the Bitwig booth, and it looked like in the previous years a nice carpet and a demo. Yeah, the new Osmose controller was interesting to play, but I think it feels a bit more solid than the previous model. It's not a previous model, it's a model with an audio engine, and this one is now only in controller, but this one is now in a full metal casing, so feels a little bit more solid, and I was really impressed about the sounds that come with it. So they have a plug-in, so if you go for Blade Runner soundtracks, that's definitely pretty easy to replicate with that thing, and yeah, check that out. And Friday night had the famous Bitwig party, and there was lots of partying going on, and it was pretty late at night, so next day, the final Saturday day, was really tough to get up, but I saw a nice balloon, so this really inspired me to enter the train and go back to SuperBooth. And finally on Saturday the weather was much better and was even a bit warmer, so you could go again outside and watch the exhibitors in the tents. And I found a little thing from Korg, which was actually nice, a little mixer with 4 stereo inputs, 2 mono inputs, and has some digital effect as well, and fits easily into your bag. Yeah, GS Music is something I mentioned already last year. The Breeze 6 was there last year, and now there are different models of that available, and it's a very simple synth, but it sounds really big. Only one oscillator, but you should really hear that in reality. I'm totally impressed with that sound. And something pretty cool, Tabutec or Tubutec, I'm not sure how they are pronounced. Let's go with German versions since it's a German company. They had already these little controllers in the previous years, but now you can design your own controller online and also give them a drawing of the background you like to have, and they build it for you. And it's pretty solid in a metal casing, and it's actually pretty affordable. It's between, depends on which knobs you select for the device, but it's between 240 260 euro with everything, and that's quite impressive. And yeah, check that out. And we had these Ericasin Bullfrog devices, which are targeted towards children, but nevertheless the drum computer especially, I think it's not only for children. It's a pretty sophisticated drum computer, quite pricey as well, but totally solid build and sounds really good. And they also showed now a mixer with also very big knobs and also nicely built, so yeah, interesting. And on this Saturday the little park train was going again, and sometimes you had to wait when strolling around between the different areas and had to wait for the train. And yeah, we were outside and also lots of bugs were there. And back inside for some final checkout of some companies I missed so far. The prize for the most pointless booth ever goes to Cork. I think it was Cork US. It's confusing. The other one with the mixer was Cork Germany, and I think this is now Cork US. This synth, which was wrapped. That's it. And then I went to the MIDI Association booth and had a really interesting chat with Ethan Billias from the MIDI Association and Pete Brown from Microsoft. And they showed me some quite impressive things they had just on this day. They had the first implementation of the IP protocol, which can now run MIDI 2 as well, and this will come pretty soon to Windows as well. And they showed me a Mac communicating with a Windows laptop, and also this profile. So the Mac ran a profile for a piano plugin, and the Windows PC ran a profile for orchestral plugin, and they could play back a song via these two PC. So very impressive. And there are already now a bunch of hardware devices available, which allows you to connect them via network, and then you could, for example, distribute pretty easily in your studio from one end to another without having the problem that you have a limitation of cable lengths with USB cables. Yeah, and these 3 days just flew by, and it was already the last day with a final techno act of Colin Benders versus our own Tune Girl. And yeah, people loved it, jumping up and down. And as in the previous years, again, the show had to end at 9 o'clock because of the toads. Again, and okay, nevertheless, yeah, as I said before, it was again a blast, and I had on the last day, on the Sunday, I had a nice breakfast again with Otto in a very nice area in Berlin, and it was really a nice closing for these 5 days, and then I had to take the long train journey back home. What did you see at SuperBooth? If you were at SuperBooth, if not, you should definitely go next year. It's something you won't miss out on. And yeah, until next time, make some funky music.